Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by AdamandEve.com. If you go to AdamandEve.com and type in the promo code FOOTBALL, you'll get 50% off just about any item in the store. Once again, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia, and it's been a while, you guys. Last time I talked to you guys was on Monday, actually, I believe it was, and since then we haven't had another show to do, but here we are. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Very excited about that. Got some good games to talk about this Sunday and Monday too, actually, and then we can talk a little bit about a Thursday night game between Seattle and Arizona. And pretty much after that, we'll talk about why these players think Thursday Night Football is bad, talk about some storylines going on, and then to finish out the show, I'm actually going to talk about which teams actually need to come up with a win this Sunday or Monday. You never know which team I'm going to bring up, but yeah, which teams need wins in order to keep their season going and just to keep it afloat. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. I really enjoy doing this show. So yeah, let's get started with it. I'm actually going to start off with the Thursday night game between Seattle and Arizona. So let's get with it. Seattle went into Arizona. They won that one 22-16. Let me do the scoring play-by-play first. Jimmy Graham in the first quarter caught a 6-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson, which made it 7-0. First quarter ended 7-0 with Seattle on top. Then with 7 seconds into the second quarter, Jermaine Gresham, that's quite the name drop right there. Haven't really heard much about him since he left Cincinnati. He caught a 14-yard touchdown pass from Drew Stanton, which made it 7-7. And then with 10:53 left in the second quarter, Adrian Peterson was tackled in the end zone by Cam Chancellor for his safety. Cam Chancellor's actually one of my favorite safeties in the league. Probably one of my favorite players in the league too. He's just a quiet guy who puts his head down. He's gonna lay you out if he needs to. I know Vernon Davis knows exactly about that. I think it was in a playoff game in Seattle. I can't remember exactly, but Cam Chancellor just laid off a crazy hit on Vernon Davis. I'm sure you could go on YouTube and find it. All you got to type in is Cam Chancellor hitting Vernon Davis. I'm sure it's going to be the first thing that comes up. But yeah, just getting back to the game. So the ooh, excuse me. But the Adrian Peterson safety brought Seattle up 9-7, and then Seattle had 2 more scoring plays after that in the second quarter. Both field goals by Blair Walsh. He had a nice pick-me-up game after missing 3 in their game against Washington. Yeah, he made both of his field goals in the second, which made it 15-7, and that ended the first half. Third quarter, only 1 scoring play. Phil Dawson kicked a field goal, which made it 15-10 Seattle, Arizona had 10. And then the fourth quarter, Seattle pretty much just put the game away. Jimmy Graham had another touchdown pass from Russell Wilson, which made it 22-10. I just can't pronounce stuff today. But yeah, that made it 22-10 with 12:49 left, and Arizona's offense simply couldn't get anything going for the rest of the quarter. They didn't score a touchdown until there was 20 seconds left, which made it 22-16. Andre Ellington scored a touchdown. I know that made... There's not a doubt in my mind. If you had Adrian Peterson on your team, I know you were screaming at your TV. You could tell me, oh, no, I wasn't screaming. Don't let fantasy get to me. No, you were screaming at your TV. You don't got to lie. I know that. Seeing Andre Ellington score that touchdown after having Adrian Peterson have that type of bad game. And we'll get into his stats a little bit more right now. But yeah, I know Adrian Peterson owners were not happy with Andre Ellington scoring that touchdown because I know they needed it. But yeah, they made it 22-16. It wasn't 22-17 because the Seahawks blocked Phil Dawson's extra point attempt after. So yeah, it was just an all-around good game for Seattle. There's some storylines, some injuries from there coming out of there. We'll talk about those towards the later part of the segment. But let's get into the stats. Russell Wilson had 22 completions out of 32 attempts. He had 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thomas Rawls was the leading running back for the Seahawks. He had 10 carries for 27 yards. But don't sleep on J.D. McKissick. I think he's going to start taking over soon. He had Rawls had 27 yards on 10 carries. McKissick had 26 yards on 5 carries. So he pretty much did what Rawls did in half the he did pretty much with half of the amount of carries, obviously. And McKissick also on the receiving end, he had 4 catches for 20 yards. So it's around about 40. Yeah, it's about 46 yards right there for production out of him in those 4 catches. So if you played him in your league, that's probably in your fantasy league somehow because you're just a wizard. If you're in a PPR league, that's around 8 points right there, or 6 points. Can't remember exactly. I was never good at math. This is why I'm trying to become a journalist in college right now. But yeah, McKissick had a solid game, so I think he's going to start getting the ball a lot more. We all know Pete Carroll likes to ride with the hot hand. If you remember in Russell Wilson's rookie season, Matt Flynn was actually supposed to be the starting quarterback for that season for that team. They gave him that big contract. I think that was after Matt Flynn had those 2 good games for Green Bay at the end of the season. And I don't know what it is. Why do NFL teams do this? They'll throw money at quarterbacks who come in for a good team too. So you'll see a team like the Patriots or let's just talk for that one instance, okay? So yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I think the Packers were already going to make the playoffs, so they sat Rodgers for the last 2 games. Matt Flynn comes out, he throws 7 touchdowns and over around 500 yards, 600 yards around there for combined from those 2 games. So I mean, Seattle was like, oh yeah, let's throw all this money at him. And sure enough, it didn't work out because they drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, and he beat out Matt Flynn for the starting job in training camp. So Matt Flynn got to walk away with some cash in his pocket, and Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl a couple years after that. So it's all worked out pretty well for them. So yeah, that's just tying that back to what I'm talking about now. McKissick's currently the hot hand, so don't be surprised if Pete Carroll starts running him a lot more. Doug Baldwin had 5 catches for 95 yards, no touchdowns. Paul Richardson had one catch for 43 yards, and I feel like that's just a Paul Richardson game right there. He's going to have maybe 1 or 2 catches, but those are going to be for about 40 yards each. Jimmy Graham is looking like the old Jimmy Graham that we all used to know and love. He had 6 catches for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jimmy Graham during his time in Seattle just hasn't been that Jimmy Graham that we saw in New Orleans, but it looks like this season, at least so far, it's looking like he's picking it up and he's starting to be that old Jimmy Graham that's going to bully linebackers and whoever else covers him, to be honest. I remember when he was in New Orleans, they line him up out wide a lot, so it was debated, is he a wide receiver, is he a tight end? He can play both, and he's got the speed for both, and he's able to run routes, and he can block, so he's pretty much the all-around one of the better tight ends in the league when he's producing. And I know that hasn't been much for Seattle so far these last few years, but this year it's looking like he's finally got it figured out. Him and Russell Wilson are looking like they're on the same page. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well Jimmy Graham does for the rest of the season. Drew Stanton for Arizona, he had 24 completions on 47 attempts, 273 yards passing the ball, and he had 1 touchdown. So an efficient game, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, he missed a lot of throws. He almost threw the ball 50 times, and that had to do with the fact that Adrian Peterson couldn't do anything against the Seattle defensive line and linebackers. He had 21 carries for 29 yards, and it's about that's a solid 1.4 average right there. And once again, sorry, Adrian Peterson owners, I know you guys were all excited after him getting 37 carries and 154 yards or 159 yards, I believe it was, against San Francisco, but we all should have took a step back and realized, you know what? Oh, it's San Francisco. This is Seattle, so maybe we shouldn't start him, but I'm sure some of you did. And like I said, Andre Ellington, now I can talk about it since I said Peterson's stance. Andre Ellington stole that touchdown away at the end of the game, and I know you Peterson owners needed that touchdown, but you didn't get it. Sorry about it. Peterson only gave you probably around 3 points, so yeah, good luck to you the rest of the season. Larry Fitzgerald had a big game, 10 catches, 113 yards. If you had him on your team, you were a happy camper. Also, if you somehow could tell the future and you had Jermaine Gresham starting at tight end for you, he had 5 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Jermaine Gresham really hasn't been the same since he left Cincinnati, but here he is putting up numbers. So yeah, Seattle won that one 22-16. Man, these allergies are hitting me hard, but Seattle, I'm going to talk a little bit more about them right now, and then we'll talk about Arizona after this. But there was a play where Russell Wilson took a hit from Carlos Dansby, and the referee told him, I take this play out, go have him check your head for a concussion. And Russell Wilson went to the tent, and I was reading this because I didn't get to watch the game because I was in class. Yeah, I'm part-time, or I'm a student too, so I can't always watch all these games. But yeah, I was reading today, which is Friday, on ESPN. I was reading an article saying that Russell Wilson went to the blue tent that they have where you can check to see if you have concussions. The trainers will look at you. And before the trainers even got there, Seattle was able to run a play, and then Russell Wilson, before the trainers even looked at him, like I said, he came out for that next play, and I think he ran 2 plays after that, and then they punted. And then once they came off the field, that's finally when the trainers looked at him and checked to see if he had a concussion, and he came back in the game after that. But I expect the NFL, because they're going to be investigating it too, I saw. So I expect Seattle to come out with a pretty nice fine. I think for first violations of something like this, it's around $150,000 for a fine. So even if Russell Wilson didn't have a concussion and he was fine, I mean, the way that they handled it in the beginning was just plain wrong. The NFL is they're trying really hard to save face right now, because finally everyone knows about the dangers of concussions in the NFL, how often they happen, and then now we've come to be more knowledgeable about CTE. So I know the NFL really doesn't need anything like this on their plate. So yeah, they're just going to try and nip it in the butt and then just investigate it. And I'm like they said, there's no doubt on my mind that the Seahawks, the Seahawks are going to get fined for this. I know Russell Wilson, and I'm sure it was Russell Wilson who made the call for him to go back out there. He's a determined player and he never wants to miss a play, but something like this is going to hurt his team, I feel, just because of the fine. But if I was him, I mean, I know it's a rivalry game and they're in a playoff hunt, but it's the Arizona Cardinals. The defense was holding, they were on offense too. So, the drive was pretty much over, because once he came back, he only got to run a play or two, I think it was, and then they punted. So, it was really pointless for him to, even if he was feeling fine, the ref told you to go and get your head checked for a concussion. So go out there and get your head checked. I think the team was winning at the time already. So there's really no point for him to rush out there. But like I said, I know he's a determined player and he doesn't want to miss any plays. But you got to think smarter when you're out there. Like I said earlier, right now, the NFL doesn't really want any more problems with concussions. I know that's a big thing, a big problem for them right now. So yeah, I expect Seattle to get fined. And then for bad news for Seattle, Richard Sherman's going to be out for the rest of the season. He ruptured his Achilles, and I think I saw too that on the broadcast. I think it was Al Michaels or Mike Tirico. Yeah, Mike Tirico. I get them. I know Al Michaels isn't doing it anymore, but Mike Tirico was. He saw Richard Sherman and read his lips, and he said it's torn. So yeah, Richard Sherman knew instantly that something was wrong with it. And this is going to be brutal for the Seattle defense. Now I like the Rams even more in that division and going forward. Seattle is going to have trouble with Richard Sherman not out there. Earl Thomas has been solid so far this season, but he's been dealing with injuries too. And Cam Chancellor, he's been out there, I think, every game so far this season. So the safeties are really going to have to step up their game and help out the corners, because outside of Richard Sherman, the corners they're okay, but they're not on his level. So you need a guy like Richard Sherman. He's the voice of that defense too. So we're going to see how the secondary, how it ends up for them. But yeah, that's all. Actually, we'll talk a little bit more about Seattle, but let's give the Cardinals some love. I guess not too much love, because I'm about to be pretty negative on the rest of their season. But yeah, right now they're 4-5, still trying to fight for a playoff spot. Right now they are currently 12th out of 16 teams in the NFC fighting for that playoff spot. The Giants, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco, and I guess you could throw Chicago in there. They're not going to be competing for a playoff spot, but Carolina currently owns that 6th spot. They're 6-3, so Arizona's 2 games back right now, and if Carolina beats Miami on Monday, then that's going to be even tougher for Arizona to try and crawl their way back out of that hole. And honestly, I think that their season is done. They have the Texans next week. That's a winnable game for them, just because the Texans' offense is terrible once Tom Savage is out there. DeAndre Hopkins actually had a good game for them last week, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later when I'm doing my predictions. But yeah, and then after the Texans, they got the Jaguars. That's going to be a loss right there. I'm calling it right now. Jacksonville's got the best defense in the league. Then they got the Rams, another loss I'm calling. Titans aren't as good as the Rams and Jaguars, but I think the Titans will pull that one out. Then they got the Redskins in Washington. That's going to be a tough one right there. Washington's also trying to fight for a playoff spot. Then they got the good old 1-7 Giants. They're dealing with their problems, so that's a game Arizona can win. And then they got the Seahawks again in the last game of the season. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 games left. They need to go at least 5-2, and I don't think that's going to happen. There's no way that they're going to be the Jaguars or Rams, I don't think. Titans and Redskins, they got a chance. Seahawks, I don't like their chances, so They really got to win the Texans game, then the Giants game for sure, and then figure out a way to get 3 games out of the rest of those teams in order to have a chance at making the playoffs. But I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry, Seattle. Don't mean to be too negative, but it's just how it is. As for Seattle's rest of the season schedule, they got the Falcons next week on Monday night. That's going to be a fun one. Then they got San Francisco. Then they got Philly. That's going to be a good one. Then Jacksonville, the Rams, Dallas, and Arizona. And oof, they got a tough schedule going forward too. It's going to be tough. They're not currently in the 6th spot or the 5th spot right now for the wild card, even though they are. Actually, are they? Let's see. I was incorrect. They actually are the 5th spot. They're 6-3. Dallas is currently 5-3. That's the closest team to them. And then you got let's see, that's 1, 2. You got 4 teams. That's a tongue twister right there. Atlanta, Detroit, Washington, Green Bay are all 4-4. Green Bay's trending down right now though, and Washington, Detroit, and Atlanta are trending. Atlanta's kind of stayed the same. They're going through a Super Bowl hangover. So I mean, if Dallas beats, Dallas is playing Atlanta. So if Dallas beats Atlanta, I think that they'll take one of those wild card spots after the weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see. But like I said, Seattle's got a tough schedule going forward. I mean, the Falcons, that's a winnable game right there on Monday night. San Francisco, that's definitely a winnable game. When they play Philly, that's going to be a fun Sunday night game right there. I think Philly's going to pull that one out. Against Jacksonville, I think they could pull that one out just because of all the vets they got. And Seattle's been there, and they know at that time they're going to have to pull out some wins. Rams versus Seahawks is going to be a fun one. Seattle at Dallas is going to be another fun one, and then they can beat the Cardinals. So we'll see how it all goes for Seattle. But yeah, that's going to be it for this segment. Next up, I'm going to do my Week 10 predictions. Going to talk briefly about each game. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Hey, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Have you been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, AdamandEve.com has an offer you're not going to be able to resist. If you go to AdamandEve.com and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all they're offering. Oh no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you're also going to receive 3 free adult DVDs, just in case you need that little inspiration. Plus, a free extra gift so essential, I can't even mention it on this podcast. And to top that all off, they're even willing to throw in free shipping on your entire order. And I know nowadays we all love that free shipping. And no, they're not kidding about any of this. So check out AdamandEve.com today for this special offer. You'll get 50% off one item when you type in the promo code football upon checkout. When you do that, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use the offer code football. That's FOOTBALL at AdamandEve.com. Again, that's FOOTBALL football at AdamandEve.com. All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. That last segment, I'll recap the Seattle Seahawks versus Arizona Cardinals Thursday night game. Seattle won that one 22-16. Arizona made the score look nice, but they were never really truly in it, I don't think. I mean, I guess you could say after the first half, it was 15-10, so they had a chance. But other than that, they just really couldn't get it going. Actually, 15-7 after the first half. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, all you need to know is that Seattle won that game. They're also probably going to see a nice little fine from the NFL because of how they handled the whole concussion protocol for Russell Wilson. And Richard Sherman's out for the year with a torn Achilles tendon. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with all that. I know the defense is going to hurt from Richard Sherman not being there. But you know what? Seattle, they always got a chance, so maybe they could pull it off. But yeah, for this segment, we're going to do some Week 10 predictions for the Sunday and Monday games. So let's get into it. New Orleans is heading into Buffalo. I'm going to go New Orleans in that one. Buffalo's coming off a loss. I think they just had their bye too this past week, but they're coming off a loss. Actually, I can't remember if they're coming off a bye, but yeah, they had a game last Thursday against the Jets. And the Jets won that one 34-21. Buffalo just looked lost. They look like the old Buffalo Bills, the little tricksters right there, trying to make us think that they're a good team. And then boom, they get blown out by the Jets. And I'm just joking around right now. But Buffalo, actually, I do think that they still are a good team. And even with that loss to the Jets, but this is a game that they need to win. And we'll actually talk a little bit more about like teams that need to win later on in the show. But yeah, Buffalo needs to win this game. If they lose, then they're going to drop to 5-5. And it's going to be bad for them if they drop to 5-5. I'm just going to say that right now, okay? They need to get this win against New Orleans, okay? New Orleans right now, they're currently 6-2, looking like a good team, looking like a team that can play in the NFC Championship, possibly even the Super Bowl, but right now I'm going to give that to Philly, Super Bowl contenders, and I even like the Rams better than the Saints. I know that really isn't something you hear too much, but yeah, I think right now the Rams are a better team. We'll talk a little bit about them more in the segment later on, but yeah, I like New Orleans in this one against Buffalo. I think Drew Brees is going to have a good game. This game is in Buffalo, so Buffalo does have a chance, but like I said, I like Drew Brees in this game. Mark Ingram's going to run in the ball really well so far this season. Alvin Kamara has been running the ball extremely well. He's been just pretty much a playmaker out of the backfield. If you need him to catch the ball and do something with it, he can do that. If you need him to run the ball and do something with it, he can do that. He scored 2 touchdowns in his last game, had around 154 yards, I think, total. And I think Michael Thomas is due for a touchdown. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I need him to start scoring for my fantasy team. He's been averaging around 10 points, and he usually gets around 10 targets a game, too. He usually catches the ball around 6-7 times during those targets and has maybe around 50 yards. But come on, Mike T, I need a lot more from you for my fantasy team. It's playoff time, or it's playoff push time, so let's get it started. But yeah, I got New Orleans in that one. Next game, Green Bay is heading into Chicago. I got Chicago in that one. I'm on the Mitchell Trubisky bandwagon, and I'm as far away from the Brett Hundley bandwagon. So, yeah, I like Chicago in this one. I think Jordan Howard's going to have a really good game. They're probably going to run the ball with him at least 25 times, I think. And it's just, I don't trust Green Bay still. Brett Hundley, he had I guess you can call it a decent game since he didn't throw any interceptions, but against Detroit on Monday night last week, he only had around 245 yards, I think it was. Didn't throw for any touchdowns, but didn't throw for any interceptions either. So, I mean, there's that. But, I mean, the Chicago defense has been playing really well so far this season, too. So, if they put pressure on Hundley, he's going to struggle, and you saw that a lot during the game against Detroit. Devontae Adams, he's probably going to have a decent game. I think Hundley, that was his favorite receiver in Monday night. He threw to Adams, I think, 10 times, and that was the most targets for any receiver on that team for that game. But I'm going to go Chicago in this one. And then next up, Cleveland versus Detroit. I'm going to go Cleveland. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely not going Cleveland. I'm going Detroit in this one. Cleveland's going to drop to 0-9, I believe, 0-10. It's going to be one of those O-ands, but Detroit should have no problem winning this game. They're playing really well, really good football right now. They started off hot, kind of cooled down. Now they're starting to pick it up a lot more. Oh yeah, and Cleveland loses, they'll be 0-9. That's confirmed. If Cleveland loses this game, they will be 0-9. But yeah, I like Detroit in this one. Josh Gordon's not back for Cleveland yet, and even if when he does come back, I'm sure it's going to help, but don't think it'll help him win too many games. Like I said, there's no reason to pick against Detroit in this one unless you're just a crazy betting man. And let's see what the spread is actually for this game. Let me check it out. Let's see the spread. Detroit is favored 10.5. So if you are a betting man, then yeah, I guess you might take Cleveland in the points, but that's a bold move right there. But yeah, I'm going Detroit in this one. They move to 5-4. Cleveland's going to move to 0-9. And that's all I got to say about that game. Not really too much analysis. Cleveland's bad. Detroit is playing good. Pittsburgh's heading into Indianapolis. I like Pittsburgh in that one. One of the best teams in the NFL right now. There's a good chance that we get a Pennsylvania Super Bowl this season. There's a good chance that the Steelers make good on that little thing right there, but you never know with Philly. Usually they're a team that looks good, and then once it's time for the big time, they kind of just throw it away. But we'll see. Philly is the best team in the league right now, so this year could be different. But like I said, we'll see. But as for the Steelers and Colts game, I like Pittsburgh in this one. I think Antonio Brown's going to have a big game. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is not going to have as big a game as he had in his last one, but he's going to have a solid game. Martavius Bryant, he's going to be back for this one. I don't expect him to do too much either way. Le'Veon Bell's going to get his, and like I said, that Steelers defense has been playing really well so far. They finally fixed the corner position. That's something that's been hurting them for probably like the last 5 years at least. And Colts, they got Jacoby Brissett, so he's going to keep them in the game, but it's just on paper, I think that Pittsburgh's a better team all around, and I just don't think that the Colts are going to be able to keep up with them. So yeah, I got Pittsburgh in that one. If they win this game, they'll move to 7-2, and the Colts will move to 3-7. Next up, I'm talking about the Chargers, and they're heading into Jacksonville. They're going to face off with the Jaguars. I got Jacksonville in this one. Jacksonville wins this one. They'll move up to 6-3, and the Chargers will be 3-6. But the reason I got Jacksonville is just you're not going to really hear me pick against Jacksonville too many times just because of that defense. I'm a big defensive guy, so whenever a team's got a good defense, they're always going to have a chance to win, and I just think that the Jaguars are just an all-around better team than the Chargers. Leonard Fournette's going to have a big game. I think Melvin Gordon's going to get shut down against his Jaguars defense, so when Melvin Gordon's not playing good, the Chargers really don't have a chance. Phillip Rivers really isn't that quarterback that can lead a team on his own anymore, so yeah, I like Jacksonville on this one. And then the Jets are heading into Tampa Bay. They're going to be going up against Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going to see like a little revenge game for the guy. The Jets cut him. I remember he threw tons of interceptions for him last year, I think it was. Did he? Was it the last year or the year before? I can't remember exactly, but I know when he was with the Jets, he was throwing all kinds of picks, looking like Brett Favre out there, just without the touchdowns and big yards and stuff like that. So yeah, I got the Jets in this one. Matt Forte is out for this game. He's out with a knee injury, I believe it is, and that kind of stinks because I picked him up on my fantasy team. I was going to start him, but Bilal Powell was on the waivers too, so I ended up dropping Forte for him, starting Powell this week, and you should too. Tampa Bay's defense isn't good at all so far this season. They can't tackle to save their life. That offense is going to be handicapped since Jameis Winston's out. Hopefully Doug Martin gets going. I really need that for my fantasy team too. But yeah, I like the Jets in this one. The defense has been playing well all season. It's just really when it comes down to them needing to win games, it's going to come down to their offense. And I think Tampa Bay's defense is that bad to where the Jets offense is going to have a good game. Also look out for Robbie Anderson. I think he's going to have another touchdown. If he had a touchdown in this one, that would make it a touchdown in 4 straight games. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I got the Jets. The Jets win this one. They move to 5-5. The Bucs move to 2-7 if they lose. And I'm not sure how the front office is feeling about any of this. I mean, because the Jets, they were supposed to be rebuilding. A lot of us didn't think they'd win more than 3 games, and here they are already with 4 wins, and it's looking like they're going to get their 5th this Sunday. So yeah, good luck to the Jets. Might have to trade out for a quarterback if they end up winning all these games. I think they're going to end up finishing probably 6-10, 7-9. That's going to get them a pick in between probably 10 to 15, and Sam Darnold's not going to drop that low, and neither is Josh Rosen. So the Jets are probably going to have to trade up in the draft for a quarterback. So front office can go thank the players for doing their job. But yeah, like the Jets in that one. Cincinnati's heading into Tennessee. I like Tennessee in this one, 10 times out of 10. Marcus Mariota looked good last week against Baltimore. The hamstring finally looks fixed up. Tennessee's running backs kind of trip me out because I don't understand Tennessee's running backs, okay? DeMarco Murray, he's a really good running back, but he just hasn't been doing well so far this season. I know he's been dealing with a hamstring injury. Derrick Henry, it's like you're waiting for him to start take over the reins and start being that guy in Tennessee, but it just hasn't happened yet. Rashard Matthews has been a solid option on the receiving end for the Titans, and the defense has been playing pretty well so far this season too. And Cincinnati just has been they've been a boring, not fun to watch, just going through the motions team this season. And I think that unless Cincinnati pulls off some type of miraculous half end of the season, Marvin Jones is probably going to lose his job. Andy Dalton, he's looking probably the worst that he's ever looked in his career. AJ Green is doing his thing, but not up to his standard. Joe Mixon's looked all right, and just Bengals are just a boring team to watch. They're not fun. They just don't do anything. They're the Bengals. They go out there, they play the game. If they win, then, oh, wow, they won. If they lost, oh, they lost again. So, yeah, I like the Titans in that one. And then Minnesota's heading into Washington. And then let's see, is this going to be my first upset pick? This is going to be my first upset pick right here. Minnesota's favored in this one just by a point and a half, but I like Washington in this one. They're going to be at home. Minnesota's getting Teddy Bridgewater back, and he's probably going to be the backup for this game. And I think Kirk Cousins is finally starting to hit his little stride where he's going to start playing really well. He's in a contract here, so he needs to start playing well in order to get paid. So, yeah, I like Washington in this one. I think Chris Thompson might have a bounce-back game. Not too sure, but yeah, I like Washington in this one. If they win, they'll move to 5-4 and inch even closer to that wild card spot. Then Houston's heading into LA. They're going to face off with the Rams. I got the Rams in this one big time. Don't think Texans are going to be able to put up much of a fight. That Rams defense is going to terrorize Tom Savage the entire game. He's going to look like a rookie out there, I think. The Rams got the best offense in the league right now, and there's really no reason to pick against the Rams. The Rams are currently favored by 12, and I wouldn't even take the Texans in the points in this one. I think the Rams are going to blow them out. So if the Rams win this one, they move to 7-3 and move a game ahead of Seattle on that NFC West. Cowboys, they're heading into Atlanta, They're going to face off with the Falcons. Ezekiel Elliott is now suspended for those 6 games, so Cowboys are going to see what life without Zeke is like, and I think it's going to be pretty good against the Falcons. I got the Cowboys in this one. Atlanta's favored by 3 points. I think that Dallas is going to be able to pull this one out. Atlanta's just the team that hasn't played well at all so far this season, even though they're 4-4. They're 4-4 because of the talent they got, but the talent on that team just hasn't been maximized so far this season. So I think Dak Prescott's going to have a good game. I think he's a really good quarterback, and he's going to show everyone that, you know what, I can do it without Zeke. Alfred Morris probably will have a decent game. We're going to see about that. Rod Smith is also a guy I think everyone should look out for. I think Dez Bryant's going to have a really solid game, probably go for around 100 yards. I think maybe a touchdown. So yeah, I like Dallas in that one. If Dallas wins, they'll move to 6-3, and they should put them in a wild card spot, but we'll see. And then the game of the week, everybody, the New York Giants versus the San Francisco 49ers. When 1-7 heads over to SF to face off with 0-9. Gonna pick the 49ers in this one. I know I said it on the last football podcast that I wouldn't do that since they let me down against Arizona, but you know what? I'm going to pick them again this week. If they lose, that's it. I'm not picking them again. The New York Giants are favored by 2.5 in this one, and the Giants currently, supposedly, 2 anonymous Giants players told Josina Anderson of ESPN that Ben McAdoo lost the locker room. Since then, Landon Collins and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie came out and said that's not true, but just don't like the Giants as it is. Don't think they're a good football team, and don't think the Niners are going to go 0-16 this season. So if they're going to get a win, it's going to come this week. So yeah, if the Niners win, boom, made me right. If not, I'm done picking them. So yeah, I got the Niners in this one. They're going to pick up their first win, I think. New England's heading into Denver for Sunday night. I got New England in that one. Brock Osweiler, everyone's favorite quarterback. He's going to be out there. I think New England's defense is going to have a field day with him. I'm really harsh on Brock Osweiler. I'm sorry, Brock, if you listen to this podcast somehow, but just not too high on you, buddy. But yeah, I think the Patriots are going to pull this one out probably pretty easily. Usually Denver and the Patriots have good games, but that was usually with Peyton Manning was there. And I think Trevor Siemian had a good game against them a couple years back or last year. Can't remember exactly. But yeah, Brock Osweiler's out there. Not going to do much. C.J. Anderson, do not start any Broncos running backs this week. If you have C.J. Anderson, Devontae Booker, or somehow Jamal Charles because you play in a big league, do not start any of them. They're not going to have good games, I don't think. But of course, I'm saying this, so obviously going to try and prove me wrong. But yeah, I like Tom Brady in this one. There's no reason to pick against them, so I got the Patriots in that one. And then for the final game, Monday night, the Miami Dolphins are heading into Carolina. Going to pick with my head in this one. Carolina's favored by 9. I'm going to go with Carolina. Cam Newton's looking like the old Cam Newton. He's starting to take off with the ball a lot more, and when he does that, the Panthers' offense looks a lot better. Been actually waiting for him to do that for the last couple of years, but I know Ron Rivera didn't want him to get hurt or anything like that running the ball. So Miami's currently trying to figure some things out. Jawan James, the right tackle, looks like he's going to be out for the season. So I think they're going to throw Sam Young out there. And that guy, the first play he came in when James left the Raider game, gave up a sack. So yeah, I like Carolina in that one. Miami's probably going to drop to 4-5, as much as it hurts me to say. And Carolina's going to move to 7-3. And you know what? I've been down on Carolina, but they're winning ball games. So maybe I just need to start accepting it. They're a good team. So yeah, those are my picks for this week. Probably, hopefully I'm more right than not, but we'll see how it all goes down. Next segment, we're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk Thursday Night Football. Not the game itself, but just the concept of Thursday Night Football, and just pretty much talk about Martellus Bennett and anything else that's going on in the NFL. And then for that last segment of the show, we're going to talk about teams that need a big win. So it's going to be a fun rest of the show, so stay tuned.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. I gave my Week 10 predictions in the last segment. Hopefully they all prove me right so I can look like a genius. If not, it's okay. I'll forgive everyone. But yeah, so I gave my predictions for that last segment. If you want to go check that one out again, go ahead. I gave pretty much a little something on each team for each game. So I talked a little bit about your team probably if you're out here watching. So if you want to listen and see what I had to say about your team, maybe it might be good, maybe it might be bad, but I guess you're going to have to go find out unless you already heard. And thanks for staying with me even if I did say some bad things about your team. So let's get this third segment going. I'm going to talk about Thursday Night Football, and then if we have enough time, probably talk about the whole Martellus Bennett situation, see how that's all going for him. And if I don't get to fit that in here, then I'll probably throw it into the fourth segment. But yeah, let's talk some Thursday Night Football right now. I'm not going to talk about the game itself. I mean, I already recapped that in the first segment. I'm really talking about the concept of Thursday Night Football right here. So I think it was Doug Baldwin. He came out yesterday after the game, and he said that he hates Thursday Night Football. And this is coming from a player of a winning team. He said he hates Thursday Night Football, and it's just not fair to the players. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. If I can, that'd be great. But yeah, pretty much Doug Baldwin was just talking about how none of the players like Thursday Night Football. It's harder for them. You see a lot more injuries on Thursday Night Football because players don't get the right amount of time to rest up for, say, they would on a Sunday night game or anything, or even a Sunday game. So yeah, just Thursday Night Football is from my point of view, I know most fans, if you go on Twitter and you check what they have to say about it, most fans don't even like Thursday Night Football either. I mean, it's football, so we're all going to turn into it because we like watching football. If you're listening to this podcast, you like watching football, obviously, and you like listening to it. So I mean, if football's on the TV, I'm going to watch football. It's just how it is. But actually, oh yeah, I got a quote right here from Doug Baldwin before I get into anything else. So Doug Baldwin, he was asked about if the injuries suffered in Thursday night's game were Exhibit A of why Thursday Night Football is tough on players on their bodies, and Baldwin said, and I'm quoting this right here, it's Exhibit A, it's Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit Z. Thursday Night Football should be illegal. So yeah, Doug Baldwin, my friend. We're not friends actually. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, Doug Baldwin does not like Thursday Night Football. And you know what? If the players don't like it, the fans aren't big fans of it. I mean, you see them complaining about it. Yeah, they're gonna watch, but I mean, I feel like Thursday nights, Sunday obviously it belongs to the NFL. Whatever, you could throw whatever basketball game on there. I mean, the World Series barely beat out their Sunday Night Football, and it's the World Series, but. It was game 7 too, I believe. That was on a Sunday. I can't remember exactly. No, it was game 5. It was that crazy game where it was 13-10 or 13-12 that the Astros won in extras. It was one of those crazy games. But yeah, that game barely beat out Sunday Night Football. It's just you never see that from anything on Sundays. So yeah, Sunday basically belongs to the NFL, and Thursdays, I mean, I'll watch the Thursday night game, but I'm gonna have it on my computer, and on the TV I'm gonna have the NBA on. I feel like NBA, that's a Thursday. NBA is for Thursday nights, okay? Mondays and Sundays, NFL can't have that. Thursdays belongs to the NBA, and I'm sure if you were to check the ratings, I'm just guessing right here, this is just my opinion, but if you were to check the ratings, I'm sure that the NBA would probably have the higher ratings. Actually, you know what? I'm just probably wishful thinking right here, but I'm probably wrong. You know what? NFL probably does have higher ratings, but it's just, for me personally, I'm more of an NBA guy on Thursday. Thursday night is when the NBA usually puts out their best games on TNT. So you usually see the best teams out there going up against the best teams, or just a really good matchup against young teams, or Denver versus Oklahoma City. That was a really good matchup that happened on Thursday. So yeah, the NBA usually puts out games like that. So I mean, on Thursday nights, football for me gets a backseat. Of course, I'm gonna have it on because I love the game. I love watching football, and I'm always gonna continuously watch football. But just for the players and stuff, let me finish talking about from a fan standpoint. I mean, you can agree, you can disagree, but yeah, it's just football on a Thursday just feels like it's too much. I mean, from a fantasy football standpoint, unless you got a surefire player who you know every game is going to go out and just pretty much produce, I mean, it's pretty hard to play guys on Thursday night because, like I said, players don't get that amount of rest that they need. They don't get the right amount of preparation when preparing for a team, game planning for a team. I mean, usually teams on Monday, they'll get the day off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when they'll prepare for a team they're playing Sunday. But when it comes to Thursday night, I mean, you pretty much can't take that Monday off because then you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and boom, game's on right there. So that's about 4 days after you played your other game on Sunday. So yeah, the injuries to players, I mean, I agree with Doug Baldwin. That pretty much it probably does have to do with with a low amount of preparation. And the Seattle was the road team on Thursday, but the 3 times before that, the 3 road teams in those games lost. So it's just really hard for teams to prepare. And we all know why Thursday Night Football is still a thing. It's very unpopular. You've seen fans tweet out their displeasure on Twitter. I'm not sure what goes on Facebook. Don't have a Facebook. But yeah, on Twitter, I see fans a lot saying how they don't like Thursday Night Football at all. It's boring to watch. The quality of the game just really goes down rather than if it was played on a Sunday. And like I said, the players don't like it, but you know why we have Thursday Night Football still? Because Goodell and the suits over there, they love their money. And that's exactly what Thursday Night Football brings in. It just brings in even more money. And I'm sure you can probably come up with some other reasons to defend Goodell on Thursday Night Football and say the quality of play isn't that bad or anything like that. But you know what? Thursday Night Football, we don't need it. Fans don't need it necessarily. They don't really want it. I know if they were to take Thursday Night Football off of the air, like take Thursday Night Football away after the season, I wouldn't think twice about it. Oh, they took away Thursday Night Football. That's cool. I watch the NBA on there anyways, so... Yeah, I mean, just Thursday night, just no one likes it except for the suits, calling them suits, front office guys. I'm not really sure what those guys call each other in the NFL front office or what they're considered, executives and all that stuff. But how do you say? I lost my train of thought right now when I was talking about Goodell and them. But yeah, Thursday Night Football makes some money, so they're going to keep putting it out there. The NFL is like... Don't want to try and bash the NFL because I still watch it, but it's just Goodell and those guys, they're public enemy number 1 right now with everyone, I feel. Jerry Jones doesn't like Goodell. The players for sure. I'm not sure. I mean, the Goodell and the players, their problem was more the last couple of years. Players don't like Goodell. It's just been... I don't know, dude. It's just the way the NFL runs and things. Like, you could tell, like, you know for sure it's all about the money. It's not about the players. And not about player safety. I mean, we're just barely, I mean, I know it's been the last few years, but like barely out of all the years the NFL's been out there, we're finally getting more emphasis on concussions and just pretty much trying to control the safety. So, I mean, the NFL has just always been about its money and nothing else. And the NFL is almost just as bad as the NCAA. Well, that's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, I think it's time. Thursday Night Football, it's not working out. Players hate it. I could care less if it's on or not. I'm sure the majority of fans agree with me too. For those that don't, that's your opinion. That's cool. But just NFL is just do away with it, please. As a fan, just do away with it. Players are getting hurt. Like I said, the quality of play isn't good at all. And then Thursday night belongs to the NBA. So let's just keep it that way. We'll keep everyone happy. I'm sure the NFL might lose out on some money, but you know what? They could just go back to the other billions of dollars that they have sitting around. So yeah, that's pretty much my rant on Thursday Night Football. Let me see. Might as well do some promotion for next Thursday night's game since it's going to be there anyways. So let's check. Who do we got going on next Thursday? Next Thursday, we got the Titans versus the Steelers. We already know how this game's going to end up, right, guys? It's going to be Steelers win. Titans aren't going to play that well. It's just going to be like every other Thursday night game, okay? It's going to be just a poorly played game, I think. So, yeah, that's what you got next Thursday. Once again, I'm on team cancel Thursday Night Football. Let me just watch the NBA. I'll enjoy myself. Again, Sunday football, NFL. I'll be there on Sundays. You don't got to worry about me. I'll be there watching you guys on Sundays. I'll be there watching you guys on Mondays, just like the rest of the fans in the NFL. But, yeah, so, I mean, that's all I got to say about Thursday night. I was going to talk a little bit about Martellus Bennett, but I think I'm going to push that off to the next segment. For the next segment, we're going to be talking about just pretty much storylines going on in the NFL this week. Actually got to talk about Ezekiel Elliott too, since he's suspended again. So yeah, we'll talk about Zeke. We'll talk about Martellus Bennett. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about? We'll talk about teams that need a big win on Sunday. Let's see what else. Anything else? Jerry Jones has a problem with Roger Goodell getting an extension. Don't really know too much about the legal stuff with that or really what's going on there, but I'll mention something about it just because it's news. So yeah, the next segment's going to be a pretty fun segment. Just going to talk and we'll just go from there. So yeah, this was a fun one right here, this segment. Gave my little Thursday night football rant. I'm sure the players agree with me. Hopefully some players listen to this, so promote this podcast a little bit more. But yeah, Thursday night football, not good. Get rid of it. like I said, fans will be fine. It's already the majority of them don't like it. But like I said, we'll see what Goodell wants to do. Doesn't like messing with his money. So we'll probably end up seeing it next year too. But like I said, we'll see how it all plays out. That's going to be it for this segment. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be a fun one. So we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. This is going to be the last segment of the show. I know it's been a fun one, and I'm sure everyone's sad that it's got to end, but this is it right here. If you missed that last segment, I pretty much just ranted on why Thursday Night Football is just bad and no one else likes it, and the only reason why it's still around is because of the money the revenue that it creates for the NFL. So yeah, NFL, something that I think they should just take Thursday Night Football away. I mean, I'm sure, like I said in the last segment, fans would probably be okay with it. Wouldn't really think twice about it. We still got Sunday football and we got football on Monday. So like I said, just give Thursday back to the NBA. The players definitely don't like Thursday Night Football. It's literally every single game. There's one player who comes out after the Bills game, it was Richie Incognito, who said Thursday Night Football is not fair. And then you had this past week from Seattle, you had Doug Baldwin say that it's Exhibit A, it's Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit Z as to why players are getting hurt and it should be illegal. He said Thursday Night Football should be illegal. So yeah, Thursday Night Football, just literally no one likes it, but Goodell just wants to keep it around so he can make his money, I feel. But like I said, if you missed that last round or you want to listen to it again, it's in this the third segment. And for this one, we're just going to talk about teams who need a win this Sunday. Just teams who are starting to fall off, or teams who probably need this win just to keep the momentum going. But before I get into that, let's do some news and notes around the NFL this week. So, but Ezekiel Elliott, he's finally going to start serving that suspension, and right now Dallas is currently 5-3. And if you listen to the second segment, I picked Dallas over Atlanta this week just because Atlanta's just been an underwhelming team so far this season. They refused to get Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman going in the offense, and Julio Jones, he has his off and on games, hasn't really scored too many touchdowns this season. He dropped a big one against Carolina last Sunday, which contributed to that loss. But yeah, Dallas, I'm really high on Dak Prescott. Think he is the second best quarterback in the NFC East. Carson Wentz is better. That doesn't take anything away from Dak Prescott too. I see all the time fans when they're comparing them fans, when they're comparing the two, it's like either one is better and one isn't. No, they can both be good. One can be a little bit better and one can just be not as better. And Carson Wentz is that one that's a little bit better, but Dak Prescott still goes out there and he gets the job done. So he's not a scrub out there. He's a good quarterback. So I'm going to give him his. I think that they're gonna do fine without Ezekiel Elliott. I think that all they need to do is go 3-3. Right now they're 5-3. So if they were to get to 8-6, if they were to get to 8-6 without Zeke and have him come for those last two games, boom. I'm sure when he comes back, those are two winnable games. Let me check right here exactly. Check the schedule. But when he comes back, they got every reason why they can win those last two games. And if they were, then that's 10-6 right there. And I'm sure they'd be able to get him a playoff spot. But let's check that schedule. This week they got the Falcons. Next week, Sunday night, it's going to be a fun one. I love when the Eagles face off with the Cowboys on Sunday night. There's just something about it that's great to watch. And then they got the Chargers, the Redskins, the Giants, the Raiders, and then, let me see. So Falcons is one game, the Eagles is the second game, Chargers is the third, Redskins is the fourth, Giants is the fifth, and then the Raiders are the sixth. So they'd get Zeke back for the Seahawks game and then the Eagles game. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I'm picking them against the Falcons this week, so that's one win. Then they got the Eagles. I'm going to pick the Eagles in that one. That's in Dallas. It's going to be tough. I'm going to go with the Eagles in that one. I'm just going to play it smart here, so that's 1-1. Okay, then they got the Chargers in Dallas. I like Dallas in that one. That's 2-1. Then they got the Redskins in Dallas. I think it's a Thursday night game. I can't remember exactly. That might just be one of those Thanksgiving ones, actually. Yeah, I think that's Thanksgiving, but I'll check the calendar, I guess. But yeah, Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, so I think that might be that game right there, the Redskins. I like Dallas in that one, so that's 3-1 actually right there. Then the Giants. Giants are a bad team, so Dallas can pull that one. That's 4-1. And then the last game is against the Raiders in Oakland on Sunday night. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and just give that one to Oakland because I think Oakland's going to start playing really well too once they come out of this bye. So boom, those 6 games right there. Dallas is 4-2. At least that's what I'm picking them to go. And if they're 4-2, that's what 9-5 right there. And then you got Zeke for Seattle, which is at home, and then it's going to be another fun run, actually. Their last game of the season is in Philly. So, yeah, for those last 2 games, I mean, they're already 9-5. You just got to pretty much pull out one more, and you'll probably be able to make the wild card at least. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really high on the Cowboys, probably more than other people are. But, like I said, I don't think they're going to be hurting too bad with Ezekiel Elliott out. Believe in Dak Prescott, okay? That's the message I'm putting out today. Believe in Dak Prescott, and you'll be fine. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about the Ezekiel Elliott suspension right now. I mean, he's finally serving it, it looks like. And then he's got that whole big other case with the NFL talking about whether the suspension is just, I think, or something like that. I'm not a big lawyer guy or anything like that. But, yeah, let's see. What else do we got going on? Oh, yeah, the Packers, they cut Martellus Bennett because of an injury. Supposedly he has a torn rotator cuff and labrum. And the Patriots picked him up off of waivers, and there he is at practice. And there's a weird situation going on. I'm sure we're going to find out more about it as the season goes on, probably towards the end of the season. I think Martellus Bennett tweeted something about how he can't really say anything about it right now, but the real story is going to come out. Let me see if I can pull these tweets up as I'm talking about it. But yeah, with him out there with the Patriots practicing, obviously he can't be too injured if he's out there. Oh, I got the tweet right here. I'm not going to read the first one. I'll read the first one. I'm going to bleep out the bad word. It's this bleep, crazy, bruh, WTF, which let's, I guess, put a bleep right there. And then wow. And then the next tweet, I'll tell y'all everything one day, but wow. So obviously there's something going on with how the Packers cut him, or at least he thinks so. And with the Patriots picking him up and him being at practice, obviously he's not as injured as everyone is saying, or maybe he is. Honestly, I don't know. I got as much knowledge as you guys do right now. I'm still trying to read everything, trying to see what I could figure out. But as of right now, there's obviously something going on, something weird going on, and we're probably going to learn more about it. But yeah, we'll just see how it all plays out. Maybe the Packers lied about his injury just so they could cut him. But like I said, I'm not too sure about it, but we'll see how that all plays out. Let's see. What else do we got going on in the NFL right now? Let's see. Oh, Matt Forte, he's going to be out against Tampa Bay. Yeah, he's out with a knee injury, and I'm kind of disappointed. Needed him for my fantasy team, but like I said earlier, you know what? Go pick up Bilal Powell. He's going to do well against the Tampa Bay's defense. I don't want to be too mean about their defense. I know these players got feelings, but they can't tackle, they can't cover, and when your secondary is poor, the rest of the team isn't going to play all too well. So, yeah, Forte's out, but I think Powell's going to have a big game. Once again, Richard Sherman's out for the season after rupturing his Achilles. It's one of my favorite players in the NFL, so it kind of stinks to see him go out, especially on a game like Monday night. And I ranted about that on the last segment, so go check that out. And then Russell Wilson, his concussion test is going to be investigated by the NFL, and I 100% expect Seattle to get a fine, even if Wilson had no concussion, because, like I said earlier, I was reading on ESPN that Wilson left for a play, went to the tent, didn't even wait for the trainers to get there, plays over, boom, goes back out, runs a couple, then they punt, and then once he comes back off the field is when he gets his little concussion test for a certain period of time. Not sure, again, because I didn't get to watch the game because I was in class, but I'm not sure how long he was under getting tested. But yeah, so I expect them to get fined. But now let's move on to which teams need a win this week. So I'm just going to start off Buffalo, definitely a team who needs a win. Right now, they're 5-4. I believe that they're currently in the 6th spot of the wild card. Let me pull these standings up right here. Standings are up. Yeah, Buffalo's currently 5-3 in the 6th spot. Jacksonville's 5-3 in the 5th spot. And I think Tennessee and Jacksonville, I think both of those teams are going to make the playoffs this year. They're both playing pretty well. One's going to come out with the division. I'm going to pick Jacksonville for the division just because I really like them so far this season. And I think Tennessee is going to end up with a wild card spot either way. So I think that 6th spot, it's going to come down to Buffalo, Miami, Baltimore, and Oakland. Jets are going to win this week, I think, which is going to put them at 5-5, but I think they're going to finish off 7-9. So I don't think you're going to make the playoffs, at least the 6th spot with how these teams have been playing with a 7-9 record. But the Jets could prove me wrong. So yeah, Buffalo, they need a win. I've been saying that they were going to be 5-5 if they lost, actually. No, they're going to be 5-4 if they lose. That's not too bad, but that's still pretty bad. You lose Thursday night against the Jets, which makes you 5-3, and then if you lose against the Saints, I mean, the fans are going to start turning on them because they have every right to. I mean, Buffalo has the longest playoff drought in the league right now, and the fans just want to make the playoffs. They want Buffalo to do good. They show up to every game. Bills Mafia is crazy during those tailgates. If you see the videos on Twitter, can't really describe them because, like I said, Bills Mafia is crazy, but that's what the fans call themselves. But yeah, Buffalo really needs to pull out a win so that 6-3 is so much better than 5-4, obviously, because it's a better record. But I'm just saying, if Buffalo's at 6-3, boom, they got their confidence back. But if they're back at 5-4, losing at home to New Orleans, and I'm not trying to take anything away from New Orleans, they're one of the best teams in the NFC. But if they were to lose and go to 5-4, then maybe Baltimore wins this week. Or does Baltimore have a bye? I think. Let me double check. Yeah, Baltimore's actually got a bye. So let's say Miami beats Carolina on Monday. Boom, they're both tied at 5-4. I think Jacksonville and Tennessee are going to win their games this week, respectively. So yeah, if Baltimore's 4-5, Oakland's on a bye. So if Buffalo loses, they're 5-4. Miami's going to be 5-4. Those two teams haven't played each other yet, so I'm not sure how the tiebreakers are going to work for that. But I mean, like I said, they'll be tied with each other, and Buffalo just doesn't want to fall off. Okay, let's see who else needs to win. I'm gonna go Minnesota. I know Washington is actually the team that probably needs to win the most, but Minnesota is me personally. I'm not ready to put them up there with the teams in the NFC. I'm not ready to put them up there with New Orleans, the Philly, or the Rams. I think they're right there knocking on the door. And like I said, I picked Washington in that game. But if Minnesota wins this one, they'll be 7-2, and then yeah, I'll start considering them with Philadelphia, New Orleans, and the Rams. Seattle, they're another team in that second tier. But yeah, if the Minnesota was to pull this one out against Washington in Washington, I think that'd be good for them. They're going to be fine either way because even if they lose, they'll still have the division lead by a couple of games, I believe. But Minnesota's a team I think that just really needs this win. Another team that needs a win is I'm going to call two teams right here. They're playing each other, Dallas and Atlanta. Ooh, these allergies are just getting to me today. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, these allergies are just hitting me hard. But Dallas and Atlanta, they're playing each other. They both need a big win. Dallas, just to show, you know what, we can do fine without Zeke. Because if you lose your first game without Zeke, maybe the team will start feeling down. I'm not really sure if NFL players, their heads work that way. I know everyone talks move on to the next game and go from there. But that's just what they say. It's like a robotic type of answer. But yeah, Dallas really needs this game just to prove to themselves. And I guess they could care less, what they prove to everyone else. But I mean, this would show everyone else that, you know what, yeah, we could play well without Ezekiel Elliott, especially since it's in Atlanta. So if they were to win that one, I mean, it shows that Dallas is going to be just fine. And Atlanta's currently 4-4. So I mean, you got them 4-4 coming off the Super Bowl, 28-3, I think is what they gave up. Sorry, I had to fit that one in there. Sorry, Falcons fans. Just had to get mine. But yeah, Falcons are currently 4-4, and they're going through a Super Bowl hangover. And they have it. Their team is so talented. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why is Atlanta playing so bad right now? I mean, yeah, they're 4-4, but they're playing bad. Okay, they lost to the Panthers last week. Panthers are a good team, but just Julio Jones is out there dropping open passes in the end zone. It's just not like him. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman not getting the ball as much as they need to. It's just Matt Ryan he's been playing pretty well so far this season. This doesn't have to do with him. I think most of his interceptions have come off of receivers' hands or just been a batted ball or something like that. So Matt Ryan, he's still having a pretty good season. Not as good as his MVP season from last year, but it's just, I don't get you, Atlanta. Why are you guys doing this? Start playing like you have Julio Jones at wide receiver, one of the best receivers in the league. Start playing like you have Devontae Freeman, where when he gets the ball and he's able to do his thing, he's a top 5 running back in the league. Get Tevin Coleman doing. That's a playmaker out the backfield. Not many teams have a 1-2 punch like that. You see New Orleans out there, they're utilizing their 1-2 punch. Mark Ingram, he's going to get those yards up the middle, all that. And then if you need to run some screens or just need a big play from someone, boom, throw it to Kamara, let him do what he does. And that's exactly what they do, and it's working for them. But just Atlanta needs a big win too. Let's see who else needs a big win. Obviously, Cleveland, San Francisco need wins. I mean, it doesn't really matter if they lose or win. We all know where they're going to end up. Picks 1 and 2 in the draft, it's looking like, unless the Giants have something to say about that. So it's going to be a 3-way battle for those top 2 picks, I feel. So I guess, Cleveland and San Francisco obviously need a win because they still haven't won a game. But, I'll mention those. And then for the last team I feel that needs a big win is Miami. Miami right now is 4-4, and like I said, Buffalo's got a big game against New Orleans, and I'm picking New Orleans in that one. So if Buffalo moves to 5-4 and Miami wins, boom, both tied for that 6th wild card spot. Miami has probably one of the worst offenses in the league so far this season, but against Oakland, they played really well. Cutler had like 311 yards and 3 touchdowns, I think. So, he played well. Maybe they're starting to put it together. Kenyon Drake, other than that fumble, he looked really well running the ball. He was hitting the holes hard, breaking tackles. Damian Williams is a solid threat out the backfield as far as receiving the ball and doing something with it. Sort of like an Alvin Kamara type. Kamara's better, but Williams does the same thing pretty much. Just like I said, Kamara does it better. You always gotta. It's funny. You always gotta make sure you're clear when comparing players, or not even comparing players, just showing similarities. Because then someone's gonna be, oh, you think so and so is better? No, I'm just comparing their similarities. So that's what I'm doing with Damian Williams and Alvin Kamara. But Miami really needs this win. You don't want to drop to 4-5. I know the fans are already having problems with Gase. Personally, I think that Gase is doing just fine. You lost your starting quarterback in training camp, and Ryan Tannehill, he was having a career year last year, and it's just Miami just needs this win. This is a game they need this win Monday night. If they lose, that's 1-9 in their last 10 on primetime games. Personally, I don't want to see them losing again, but they're going to have to control Cam Newton and just pretty much put a spy on him for like a linebacker, because he's starting to take off a lot more. And when Cam takes off, he's real dangerous. So, Miami needs that one. If they win, they're 5-4, and they'll most likely be tied with Buffalo, because I think Buffalo's going to lose to New Orleans. So, those are the teams right now that need big wins. Again, earlier, I think, talking from earlier in this segment, I think Dallas is going to be just fine without Zeke. I personally think that they're going to go 4-2. This whole Martellus Bennett, Packers, Patriots, I guess you could throw them in there. Like this whole situation, since they picked him up off of waivers, this is going to be something that it's a weird situation. But we're going to find out soon about it. We're going to find out about it soon enough. So, we'll see about all that. But overall, this has actually been a pretty fun show. I'm glad I got to rant about Thursday Night Football in the third segment. Glad I got to give my predictions for Week 10 in the second segment. Go check out if I picked your team to win. If your team's playing well, I probably did pick them. If they're not playing well, I probably didn't pick them. But who knows? I actually picked a couple of upsets, and then this segment was pretty fun too. But like I said, those are the teams who need a big win. Thanks for listening to the show. This is the GSMC Football Podcast, and we'll be back on Monday, actually, to talk about Week 10, recap it. So stay tuned till then, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.